Welcome back, Red Spotters, and this is the Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto, joined by Mr. Peter Martinez. We're back here with another installment of this wonderful show that aims to bring you all of the latest stories out of the world of movies. And today is no exception, as we have plenty of stuff in terms of news as well as reviews. So the film we'll be reviewing today would be Free Guy, which is the latest film by Sean Levy, I believe, as well as it stars Ryan Reynolds and a whole bunch of other people. One of the final releases of the 20th Century Fox banner, which has now been, renamed to 20th Century Studios. And then, as far as everything else is concerned, we'll be talking about some of the latest stuff that has happened, which includes, but not limited to, evidently a leaked trailer to the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home, because Peter has some thoughts and
insight.
Yes, evidently that's the case.
The level of leaks for this film are the same as The Rise of Skywalker. I'm gonna be real.
It's gonna be that kind of show. I should prepare myself then. We haven't had one of those in a while. With all due respect, well, not with being real here, obviously there were a lot of rumors and leaks about this particular movie because of the nature of the multiverse and the different kind of Spider-Man coming back. But I guess we're gonna find out. I guess Peter's got some scoops for us. Not really a scoop, but he read some leaks.
Scoops
so
ahoy.
He's gonna tell us. Basically, that's what it is. All that here and more on Red Spotlight number 344. So before we start off today, we'd like to, get reacquainted with, what we've been doing, and how we like to start these things off is with a recap of what we saw this week. So, shall I start, or do you actually have something that you can think off the top of your head, Mr. Martinez?
I can start. I have watched nothing. This isn't my fault. The thing is, I've just been very busy, and when I do have free time, I study. And when I study, I know a lot of people, I don't know, like to listen to music or like put on Netflix or something in the background. I don't like that because when I watch things, I kind of focus on it. So I can't do that. So I'll throw up like random YouTube videos. So if I've watched anything, it's random YouTube videos. Cuz that's what I have on while I'm studying, cuz I know like random YouTube videos they're whatever, right?
Right.
They don't mean, and like I can give, because a lot of them I watch are basically like visual podcasts. Like I'll listen to Double Toasted.
Yes.
Red Letter Media dropped a video, so it's like I'll that's the kind of shit while I'm studying, and then if I'm not studying, I'm at work or doing other shit. So I haven't seen things lately, and I know that it's because I've been busy, because there is stuff that I have wanted to see that I have not seen yet. That if I wasn't so busy, I would have seen it yet. Like I'll talk about it right now, even though I haven't seen it yet. Just so, because maybe you would like this. I don't know. It's a movie called Annette.
I've heard of it.
Have you heard of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, a lot of people really like it. I think it's a musical.
It sounds like it is.
Yeah.
At least it has musical numbers?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But it looked right up my alley, and I was like, if I wasn't so busy, I would have seen it already, and I'd be talking about it right now. I will, for sure, I'll see it, obviously, for the 2021.
It's available to watch right now?
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's one of them. I mean, the only thing I saw is what we're gonna review. So
yeah,
like honestly, I probably actually maybe I wouldn't have, because it's getting really bad reviews. It's Reminiscence.
I was never gonna watch that, even if it had good reviews.
If it had good reviews, I would. I like me some Hugh. some Rebecca Ferguson, some Thandwi Newton. Did you know Reminiscence was directed by Lisa Joy, who is married to Jonathan Nolan, who is brothers to Christopher Nolan.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So you're gonna have to pick up the slack this week. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of the stuff that I have been watching this week, I kind of already went into a tirade of sorts in our previous episode, number 343 with David Francisco, which ended up being, I called it, you know what really grinds my gears, because this was one of those episodes where I didn't go into it like, all right, this is going to be the episode of endless rants. No, it just kind of materialized. Like literally, I amazed myself as to like how many rants after the other just kind of happened. And it's weird because most of the stuff we were talking about, I was like a big fan of. Mm-hmm. Not just the trailers that we saw, but then also the shows. So, as far as like what I've been watching, so I've been watching What If, I've been watching The Bad Batch, and I've been watching Dragon Ball Super. And if you want my thoughts on those, you can go back to the previous podcast and listen to those. So that's mainly what I've been doing as far as those are concerned. I've also been watching Ted Lasso, season 2. We're now in the thick of season 2. Last week they had their Christmas special, and then this week was another great episode. I'm really enjoying this season. I really love this show, and I may or may not have ordered some, purchased some exclusive for your consideration marketing prompts for the show, which, by the way, is up for multiple awards at the Emmys this year.
As if the Emmys mean anything.
They mean nothing, as we've said, I think, in one of our previous episodes, as to how we were upset with what they did with a lot of the shows like Mandalorian, WandaVision, how that just seems all but fake. So I won't be there for that, but I'll be there to celebrate The Crown and Ted Lasso when they, in fact, win. So,
this is not a film or TV, but we have technically both seen it this past week, and I'm pretty sure it was your first time seeing it, so I would like, little insight into that head of yours. Okay. The trailer for Last Night in Soho by director Edgar Wright. That
was a new trailer, right?
No.
Was that the first trailer? We did discuss the first trailer.
You saw it then, right?
Yeah, we both saw the trailer, and we both talked about it.
Okay.
No, yeah.
It's because you hate watching trailers, so I forget which ones you watch. No.
You really had to like tie my hands to watch a trailer.
I know. I have to like yell at you like you were going to watch this. By the way, okay, I know this.
That movie, no, wait, that movie looks incredible.
It looks so
That
good.
movie looks absolutely incredible. And I have to say, this may be, and I've been saying this for many shows now, and I've been saying this, before I even get into the reviews of the films we're discussing on any given podcast. And this may give away how I feel about, the movie we're talking about later today, but it has to be said, I am really loving this year in movies.
It's been good.
I think, Peter, what you said years ago has kind of proven to be true, for one reason or the other. This every other year rule, where you have a year that is just a great year, as like, a great list of wonderful films, and then you have the year immediately following it where it's like not nearly as great. Although 2020 was a particular case. That being said, 2020 was the worst kind of year we've had in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Sure, there were a lack of options, but what there were still wasn't all that great all around, which may also end up being a part of the reason why we haven't even done the top 10 of 2020 just yet. The top 10 films. But no, I have really been enjoying this year. with movies. And as far as like all the stuff that's coming forward, I mean, I can tell you off the top of my head that we have Candyman, Halloween Kills, Last Night in Soho, Dune,
which
Eternals,
has not even fucking played the trailer in a movie theater yet.
Eternals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great movies that are kind of like all kind of lining up before us, and so I'm hoping that sticks and the studios don't get cold feet and change around certain things. Let's put a pin in that real quick.
Oh yeah.
But as far as Last Night in Soho is concerned, it looks absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to see it.
Mm-hmm. No, it
So,
looks amazing.
in case you're wondering my thoughts, I still have yet to see the Dune trailer. I'm waiting to see it in a theater.
I'm so pissed
Honestly,
off.
it's not my fault. I should have seen it by now in a theater, and it hasn't played.
It's like, how do you expect this shit to make money if you won't even play the goddamn trailer where people can watch it in a movie theater?
At least people will be aware that it exists.
Yes.
In this case, how would our community even know that movie is happening, much less coming out?
I guarantee you, if you ask most people that have gone to the movie theater in the last week,
Yeah.
do you know about this movie Dune coming? They'll be like, what? No. Like, ugh, god damn it. Makes me mad.
It's awful. No, but it was a great trailer. But yeah, Ted Lasso, great. Go watch the show. Other stuff I've been seeing, what is it? Oh yeah. So I saw a little movie called Respect, which is basically this biopic of
That's actually wrong. I believed the film is Respect. You have to spell it out. It's not it's the spelling out.
Oh.
It's not like the word respect.
Is that so?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that. The biopic of Aretha Franklin, and it's starring Jennifer Hudson, Academy Award winner Jennifer Hudson. So yeah, I went to go see it. Peter was supposed to see it with me, but there were extenuating circumstances that prevented him from appearing at said show. Remember how we talked about how many months back now when we discussed our review of The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins, and recall how our initial expectations for what the film would be, based on what it looked like, based on what it was, and then based on the trailers, is practically everything Respect is. And what that is a retread, another one of these. It's just another one of those. I mean, I don't know what a better way to describe the movie as, in like, it's exactly the kind of movie you expect it is. And if you like that sort of thing, then you'll have a great time. And honestly, audiences, and I think that there's an interesting connection that can be found between biopic films these days and as far as Marvel films these days, where the majority of those films, aside from like some few exceptions, but the majority of these films have no desire to really do anything outside the box of what's already been done, and audiences continuously reward the films and the studios for doing so. This movie, honestly, I've seen this movie 2 years ago when it was about Judy Garland, the movie called Judy. Mm-hmm. I saw this movie when it was about Queen, when it was about Elton John, when it was about Johnny Cash. Like it's the exact same movie done in the exact same way.
It was about Dewey Cox.
Seriously, it was like copy and paste and all of those things. And look, I just feel like that is so tired at this point. And I want to be clear, though. I enjoyed myself watching the movie because I enjoyed watching the performances. I think the best thing about the film so far, are the musical performances. Is seeing Hudson perform those big Franklin songs. And honestly, if you're into that, and if you like Aretha Franklin, if you like Jennifer Hudson, I'm sure you'll have a good time watching the movie. And I'm sure Jennifer Hudson will be in the conversation for a nomination, at least, for Best Actress. But that's as far as it's going to go with it. it's not only that it's just like a wash, rinse, repeat movie that you've seen, you kind of been there, done that, but it also kind of, there's nothing about the film that is remarkable. It's not only another one of these movies, but it's not even the best kind of these movies. So it's a bit of a tepid effort, if I may be so bold as to say. It's not exactly what I would call a must-watch by any means as far as movies are concerned, but it gets the job done where I think general audiences most want, and that is the rise and fall story and seeing her do the big performances, and it is what it is.
It's the Black Widow of singer films.
Yeah.
It's another one of those. And those aren't bad, especially if it's about like your favorite singer.
Yeah.
Your favorite artist. But I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much a skip if you want to go ahead and do that. So that's my review of Respect. What else do we got here? May I be so bold as to congratulate on Peter's behalf, because I know he was very excited about this, and I want to go ahead and remind him of his burning passion for it. But I have to say, it's been an interesting week. So evidently, Voldemort of the MCU. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've now renamed S.H.I.E.L.D. the Voldemort of the MCU. Like,
oh, is that your new thing? Okay.
Yes. Whose name?
He who not should not be named.
Yes,
okay.
Because evidently people get triggered whenever I say it, so now I'm just going to refer to it as Voldemort. Mm-hmm. Because it just makes sense, right? Like, you can't say this name. But evidently, their team for visual effects, which Peter has repeatedly criticized, I believe, has won a bronze. Have you? I think you have. Have you? Maybe no. I think it was a budget.
It's probably the budget.
Standpoint.
When they do special effects, it's not bad. When they do them.
Right. That's the thing, right? So they won a bronze award in the Australia Film and Television Competition. I saw the tweet from Mark Kolpak himself, who was the head of the VFX department here, beating out certain shows like Lovecraft Country, which Peter really loved, and didn't get a second season for really unknown reasons. HBO just cut it off at the knees.
It's not, but I think the creator is the one that's gonna do the Black Canary film for.
So he's working on something else, basically. She okay. And Westworld and WandaVision. So that's interesting. And apparently this is among the first times that their team has been recognized for their work on TV. And it's also an interesting note because I'm waiting for Peter to accuse me of paying off the Australian Film and Television Competition, because I was also accused of paying off TV Line for including the finale of S.H.I.E.L.D. among the top 25 best series finales ever.
Well, so. I mean, I don't keep track every time my favorite show gets a blue ribbon. So, that's not my thing.
I do, and it is, and I'm here to talk about it. So yeah, there is that. Other stuff, I don't know what else I can say as far as, I got a Blu-ray of The Irishman from the Criterion Collection, and it looks amazing. Disney announced that they're going to be releasing a steelbook out of the blue for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I'm going to get that when they release it.
Now that should have a Criterion release.
Yeah. Does Disney do Criterion?
No.
Then that's not
going to
happen.
But Netflix does. Okay. They have the Disney Vault.
Right. That's all I got right now as far as like stuff that we saw. I don't know if you wanted to give your thoughts on the Eternals trailer, because David and I did discuss it.
Oh, that's right.
But that was a new trailer.
That is a new trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I am the biggest, like, when I think of a single word I could just pull out of my ass to describe not only this trailer, but really the whole film is intrigued.
Yes.
And that's a word I can't remember the last time I would use for a Marvel movie. And the reason is, it doesn't matter whether I think it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. Usually when I go into a movie theater for a Marvel movie, I basically know what kind of film it is. The only thing that I have yet to see is the quality of said type of film, right? So if I went to Black Widow, whether I would have liked it or hated it, I would have known, I knew what kind of film it was going to be. And you can trace that all the way back for a long ass time. Maybe to the first Guardians, right? This is a film where I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck kind of film it's going to be.
No.
And by the way, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Necessarily.
Well, it's a good thing for me. I like it. But as I consistently am proven by the universe, the things I like don't necessarily translate into cash money.
Yeah.
So being intrigued, maybe that's not the best thing for this film. People like to know exactly what they're getting into, ergo the Far From Home trailer. Which we will talk about. I don't give a fuck. Everyone
just reminded me.
Can close their ears.
You just reminded me. One of the many rants I went into in the last episode was about fans themselves. I really tore them a new one to the point where I was kind of done. You know what? Like because every movie at this point has kind of been, a failure, quote unquote, to an extent. I'm just like, it is so annoying to me that every single time you and I are like intrigued and actually like interested in how different and new something is in these kind of franchise films like a Marvel or a Star Wars or a DC, every single time that happens, the masses do not seem interested, and then they just kind of like they're whatever about it or don't like it when they come out. And I'm so fed up with that to the point where good if you don't enjoy it then.
Fuck you then.
Honestly, seriously. That's how like done with this I am, because it's genuinely upsetting to me. Like one of the things I went into was how Shang-Chi was getting all this like, well, it's not getting all positive press. There's been some things that have been lingering
that are
there.
like, hey, it's just another Marvel movie.
Well, I'm not even talking about reviews. I'm talking about just press in general. There are a lot of things like, with Simu Liu picking a fight with Bob Chapek over the experimentation thing and other stuff they haven't been the most positive of headlines. And of course, everybody's breathing down that movie's neck to see how good or not it's going to do at the box office. So there's a lot of things happening there. As far as the reviews are concerned, it's been mostly glowing. And several of them have been talking about how it's not just an MCU movie. It's actually one of the better MCU movies. Okay, that's fine and everything. But what I was kind of like bitter about was like, well, I mean, we just had, in my view, kind of a comic book masterpiece in the form of the Suicide Squad. And we've just quickly moved on from that, haven't we? It's just yesterday's news, and no one ever really appreciated it, seems like. I think as much as we, not clearly as much as we feel, obviously.
To be fair, it did get very good reviews.
No, it got glowing reviews. I don't mean to say that it didn't, but even when you, like what you said last week, right? Even in the glowing reviews, most of the commentary was like reduced to, it's really fun.
Oh yeah, like, are you talking about like appreciating?
Yes.
Beyond just going like, hey, it's, and kind of, yeah, I really like, one of the great things I like about really, really well done blockbuster films is the fact that because they're blockbuster films and everyone watches them and gets into them, that provides opportunity to really dig into them. Like, this is why I like video essays, right? You'll take these big, bombastic films and you dig in and you really just pull apart so much shit that was there that you might not have noticed, especially if you watch those blockbuster films as a kid. And it may be connected with, subconscious level, but it's not until now that you're an adult and you can really use your big boy brain or girl, and really appreciate film, for what it is, even silly, fun blockbuster films, and really get into what makes them such great pieces of art. And yeah, it sucks that we're on to the next one. And maybe if it made a lot of money, it wouldn't
be a big deal.
But it didn't, right? And for me, it just comes down to the only reason why I want it to be successful is simply so that I can get more, right? Like every time one of these films is unsuccessful, that kills like 50 other potential projects in the same vein.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, it's in nerd terms, it's destroying timelines in which I get really awesome films and replacing it with other things that we will get into later. So yeah, and I will say this just to bring it all the way back around to Eternals. Eternals feels different.
Very much so.
And I'm not sure if it will in its final product, because there has been films in the past where I'm like, oh, this gives me I kind of some hope here. I'm seeing some good shit. And then you watch it and it's like, oh. So I'm not saying for sure it's going to be great. But I mean, it has Chloe Zhao, who is awesome. And a lot of this film very much feels like a Chloe Zhao film. And
a lot of it didn't feel like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
We both had that same reaction talking about it after it dropped, late at night and everything. And it also just, not only did it not feel like a Marvel movie, it didn't look like one either. You can definitely feel Chloe Zhao's touch. What a natural born cinematographer she is, seriously. Just stunning stuff. And we're always open to that. And honestly, I'm at the point where, like, you know what? I know most of the slate that is coming up in terms of movies is not going to give me that. So when this film is concerned, I know that it's going to give me something that's kind of unique, that's kind of unto its own, that's also kind of special. That's what I know this movie's going to give me. So unlike most of the other movies, so I'm open for it to be great, and I want it to be great. I think it's time we've had something different and great in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we haven't had in such a long time now, especially when it comes to the movies are concerned. But then again, you and I did have the same issue almost immediately, which was, man, some of these like ham-fisted references to the lore, Thanos and the snap and everything. And granted, that may very well be, it seems based on the trailer, what sets, the chain of events as far as the story is concerned. But still, it was jarring to see, basically what it felt like was the stars of the film frantically try to remind us, hey, we're part of the Marvel universe. Hey guys, come see us and everything, It feels, and to add on top of that, it feels like there is a couple of Marvel ghostwriters who take all of the scripts. Did you get? And you didn't. What? You didn't. You said ghostwriter. Marvel ghostwriter. Did you see that? You didn't see what you did there? I thought you were doing it on purpose.
I didn't know I was talking to Kyle Lira.
Oh, that one. That dug deep, man. There was no need to body me like that.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Well, I mean, Ghost Rider. Okay. I feel it was warranted. Which I do hope we get more Ghost Rider in Marvel, by the way. I hear some things. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that later. That gets me excited. If you want to talk about getting excited, that gets me excited.
Yep. Yeah.
But it feels like they have a couple of ghostwriters in Marvel who take all the scripts, and once they're finished, they go through them and punch them up with their standard Marvel flair of jokes and references. like, okay, where can we fit in a joke here? Where can we fit in a reference
We
there?
call that the filtering system, people.
Yeah, it feels like that because you have this really like with the music and the way it's shot, and even the costumes and the powers, and this whole like religious aspect to it. And I'm like, this is neat. This is cool. This is different. And then it's like Iron Man, Captain America, Vibranium, Thanos, and it's like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, and then it's like, ha ha ha, jokey joke. And I'm not obviously. I think it's clear this film will have humor, but yeah, it does feel like there is still that Marvel filtering process in there. It feels like a Chloe Zhao film, but also still, they were still able to be like, but you know, you gotta let our Marvel guys touch up the script a little bit here and there before you get to filming. But no, I'm really, really intrigued. I don't want to. Well, see, this is the thing. I'm intrigued. It's. I can't say excited. It's weird, right? Okay, so when you look at something like The Suicide Squad, when those trailers dropped, I was excited because I knew James Gunn. Like everything about it just made me really excited. With this, I'm not excited off the bat. I'm just intrigued because I'm not entirely sure what it is going to be. But the fact that I'm intrigued gets me excited. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So it's
I
being
think that's
excited
how I feel too.
One removed kind of thing.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
So that's how I felt about the trailer. It was really good. It was really cool.
So, before we get into the stuff, because there's a lot more Marvel stuff we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, some Marvel.
Obviously here.
Marvel Mondays.
Basically.
Is today Monday?
I mean, it's a couple
Sunday.
hours from now.
Marvel Sundays.
No,
you know what? Fuck it. It's Monday. We need a lie. We need a title. Marvel Mondays.
I was gonna say, Shang-Chi.
Yes.
So that movie is coming out pretty soon now,
Mm-hmm.
and all eyes are on it for how well or not it does. That's another one of these movies also where, at least with this one, I am far more wary of a lot of the reaction out of the movie, only because, and this may be my my take on it, but it feels very much, even though it's not to the level of, but a lot of the comparisons and a lot of the enthusiasm that I've seen in some of these reactions felt most akin to Black Panther, which I'm not a fan of all that much, as I think we've, at least I've been talking about it for several years now. So I also have one of the interesting, and this may be a drawback of the film, but I did read some stuff where people were like, Simu Liu is the least interesting part of the movie, or at least he gets overshadowed by his side characters.
Oh no!
And if that's the case, they did it again. They have to stop doing this. When they have these films like with Black Panther or with Shang-Chi, they have these large ensemble films. Why do you let your side characters overshadow your main character? They always do this. So you see, I'm already seeing signs of the same crap we always see. So I'm kind of, my expectations for this are kind of tame.
Yeah.
I'm not buying the stuff I'm seeing until I actually see it for myself.
A lot of the hype does remind me of the Black Panther hype. And for me, as anyone who has listened to this for a while, which I don't know why the fuck you would, but if you if you are one of those people, I was very mild on Black Panther. In fact, it ranks among the lowest in Marvel. Like when I rank all the Marvel films, it's one of the lowest. I really don't care for that film that much, but people went crazy for it. and
got a Best Picture
it
nomination
got a
too.
Best Picture nom.
It won a couple of Oscars too.
Yeah, with this, I do see a similar level of enthusiasm. And yeah, I do see some signs where it's like this. There's some standard Marvel stuff here that gets me worried that it's gonna be the same situation where everyone's like, "Oh my god, oh, did you see the film? Oh my god," and I'm just like, "I saw it. It was fine. Like, calm thy tits." But I will say this. I have seen, like, you know how they release clips of the film?
Yes.
I've seen clips, and the action is really good. And that was
That's encouraging.
that was one of my big things, right? Because it seems like, I don't know why it's so fucking hard to do good action films. But I feel like there's been a lot of films that sell themselves as like, oh, we're going to be like kung fu.
Action oriented.
It's going to be awesome. And then the action is shot shitty. And it's like, it doesn't matter how well it's choreographed or how well the actors are doing it. If you don't shoot it well, it's going to look like shit. You have to shoot it well. And at least the action I saw, I was like, oh, this is neat. This is good. It's definitely better than your standard Marvel fare. So we'll see. You know, when the reviews came out, I was like, hey, because people didn't just like it. They were like, this is the greatest superhero movie in, I don't fucking know. But they were like, the claims being made were very, very high, very out there for how good it was.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing other stuff where I'm like, and it got me kind of excited, and now I feel like I should bring that excitement down a bit. Just go in and just be like, just be like, I'm gonna have fun with this film, and if it takes me to higher places, that's awesome. But don't go in setting too high of expectations.
No, I wouldn't advise that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Do you want to make a prediction, or how do you think these are going to go as far as box office is concerned with this movie? It's hard to say.
It's hard. I think it's going to do really good.
I hope.
I have a feeling it's going to do really good. I hope so too. How much did Black Widow make opening?
80.
80? Okay. So apparently if it does at least 55 or something along that lines, apparently that's going to be considered really good.
Right.
So I think it can hit that. I think you could see it in the 50s. If it's below that, I would say that it didn't do well.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Ultimately, right?
Yeah.
We just gotta wait and see how it goes. So yeah, that's kind of where we stand with that. So, I guess now we can discuss the leaks or the leaked trailer and how all of this went down. By the way, we're recording this the day that this happened, where evidently, much to the dismay of Sony and Marvel, a recording of the leaked trailer was dropped on TikTok or on YouTube, and it basically was everywhere. And it took them a couple of hours for them to actually start blocking them. So I'm not sure how widely available it is by the time this even gets uploaded as a podcast. But Peter made us aware of what that was, and he teased that he had some thoughts, and so he commanded, I'm going to reiterate, he commanded the rest of us to go and watch this, which I have to say was quite difficult to do so, because a lot of this is a very, like, the video, how would you describe the video, Peter? It was just difficult to see.
It was like a recording of a recording.
Basically.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I could make out a lot. And I felt the audio was very clear.
Yeah.
So I could kind of make out shapes and then match it with the audio. I was like, okay, I see what's happening. I see what's going on.
And I'm gonna need you to kind of hold my hand with this because I don't remember a lot of the stuff. Kind of.
Should I do a
recap?
A recap of the trailer?
Yeah, basically, because I wasn't. I mean, I got the gist of all the stuff that was happening, but there were some things in the middle that kind of lost me.
Okay, I do want to say this. I have been reading leaks for this film for a long time now. Most of the leaks have been very similar, and this trailer just I'm unbelievably confident that I know the entire film now based off this leak trailer. Like in great detail.
Would you say then that this trailer confirms the leaks you've been
100% in great detail? It does.
We're talking about Rise of Skywalker.
It's 100% a Rise of Skywalker situation. 1000%.
Damn, did somebody hire the bad robot people to store this trailer?
But let's do a breakdown of the trailer. It starts with Peter and MJ on a roof talking flirty like, and then he says something like, I just want to stay up here forever. And this scene was part of the leaks, and what basically happens is it kind of goes through the first third, in which,
real quick, I should mention, if you don't want to listen to this stuff and you want to, go in blind with the movie, skip this. There will be a timestamp.
There will be time.
Just skip it
part entirely. The first third of the movie is literally going to be dealing with the fallout from everyone knowing that he's Spider-Man now. And the movie literally picks up right at the moment of the end of the last one. So what happens is, and the trailer shows this, like he gets picked up by the cops. He gets exonerated. Like, okay, we find out, okay, for sure he didn't kill, what's his name? Mysterio, but he is Spider-Man. And it shows him walking through the hallways, holding MJ's hands, and everyone's like has their at school, and everyone has like their phones out.
Can I stop you right there? Can we retire seeing those exact same scenes in movies? Because even watching them through trailers, it just gives me just really bad social anxiety just to see people walking down like a locker room with the entirety of the school population staring at them like idiots. Like, the fuck are you staring at them for? Like, don't you think it's uncomfortable enough? Like, I know, but like it's the same thing. You know how we saw the Dear Evan Hansen trailer? The same thing. Like this girl whose brother kills himself, and she just goes to school.
Oh yeah,
and everybody just like stands there and stares. Like, what the fuck?
It's a high school movie trope.
It's a trope. I get it, but it makes me feel awkward and uncomfortable watching it. It made me feel uncomfortable watching that.
I've never I guess for me, I've never connected with that because I've never went to a school with hallways and lockers and your typical high school trope shit. I'm a, what do you call it? A honky from the country. So we didn't have none of that.
That's not what they call them. I don't even know what you were talking. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know. But yeah, and I actually think it takes place over like a period of time, but it's still only going to be like the first third of the film, where he's just kind of like he's dealing with a lot of shit basically, because now everyone knows he's Spider-Man. Oh, and then they will have a scene where he gets exonerated for the murder, and Matt Murdock represents him. In
and we've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah,
and that was one of the ones that early on, I think on first glance, when we first read those months and months ago at this point, it was like, sure, yeah. But then as with time, right, with the benefit of hindsight, there's a lot of things that have happened in the MCU itself, as well as other rumors that have emerged, that made it much more likely that this is going to happen. And so the fact that Matt Murdock is in the movie, That makes perfect sense. I do have a question already off the bat, though. If this happens in the first third of the film, and if it happens before a certain spell is cast, how is Matt Murdock there?
He's Daredevil. I don't know what to tell you. He's Daredevil. He has nothing to do with multiple dimensions or realities. Unlike Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he is canon.
Thank you for that.
You laid it up. You have no one to blame but yourself.
But I mean, I'm gonna have issues with that. If
you are gonna have issues.
I'm gonna have issues.
You are gonna be the only one with issues.
I don't think so.
I think so. I'm not gonna.
Maybe
have
one of the
issues.
only ones, but it's like that.
You and Clark Gregg.
That can't be allowed. That will not stand
Clark
if that's
Gregg.
the case. No, I refuse.
Anyway, but yeah, all that bullshit.
The leaks don't refer to anything like this.
No,
they don't refer to how he's there or why he's there or how he's the same.
He's just the lawyer. He's his lawyer that gets him off that he didn't kill him, but he is Spider-Man.
Or how J.K. Simmons is also there, so he's not going to be from.
No. Stop asking, because it's not. He is just Matt Murdock. He is Daredevil in the MCU. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, or questions. Nothing. That's just the way it is. Nothing to do with any type of multiverse. Nothing whatsoever. Does that clear it up?
I don't believe it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, if I'll be honest, this is my first issue. Maybe I should wait to get to my issues with what this film is going to be.
Just recap the whole thing and then
I'll get into it. But that's literally like the first third, and then he realizes, hey, I know that Doctor Strange guy. Let me go see if he's got a spell to stop all of this, or so I can make everyone forget that I'm Spider-Man. So he goes to Doctor Strange in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they're like, okay, there is a spell that can make everyone forget that you're Spider-Man, but it's big and powerful, and even what's his name? Fucking
Ned.
No. What's his Doctor Strange? Doctor Strange is Ned. Wong. Okay. Wong says like it's too powerful. Don't do it, Steven. And then Doctor Strange basically just waits for Wong to leave, and he kind of winks at him. He's like, "Okay, let's do the spell anyway." And this is in the trailer. I want to say we saw this. So then Doctor Strange starts to do the spell, and this kind of pissed me off. Doctor Strange starts to do the spell so that everyone will forget that he is Spider-Man. And then in the middle of the spell, Peter Parker's like, wait. So that means everyone? Is there like... So that means MJ and Aunt May are going to forget that I'm Spider-Man too? And Doctor Strange is like, yep, that's the way the spell works. Like, shut up. Like, I'm doing the spell. And he's like, no, but can we like make it so that they don't forget? Like, I want them not to forget. So and I think he like fucks up the spell, which makes the supervillains from, and these are the supervillains: Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man series, Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, Green Goblin from Spider-Man 1. Who else? I can't remember the rest. I know Electro. I said Electro, right?
Yeah.
And they make the Sinister Six, but there's a couple others. Most
what
of them.
What do you mean they make the Sinister? Like
they form the Sinister Six.
Okay.
There were 6 of the villains.
Right.
But I can't remember who the other ones are.
So, are you saying they get pulled out of different multiverses?
Yes, they get pulled out of different multiverses because they fuck up the spell, and they get put here. And they were all technically pulled right before the moment in which they die, because all of the supervillains that I mentioned, and then a few that I forgot from other ones,
They're all dead.
Oh,
pretty much.
Sandman. Sandman's one of them. I don't think Sandman died. I don't know what the fuck Sandman. From Spider-Man 3.
You sure?
Sandman didn't die. But I guess the only thing that they remember is them dying and Spider-Man being there when they died, basically. These villains. Because they're all they died in the other films. And I guess they're able to, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are kind of able to recapture all of them, and Doctor Strange keeps the villains in this like prison. And then similar to Far From Home, they're able to sob story their way to get him to help them, in which they're like, they don't have, again, this is where No Way Home comes in. They don't have a way home to their universes, because if they go back, they'll die. And they tell him, specifically the Green Goblin, we die because of you. You kill us, or Spider-Man kills us. And that makes him feel guilty. And then I don't know if he intentionally or unintentionally, but he does something where they get released, right? And now the Sinister Six is running amok. And you see that and Doctor Strange chases him because he takes there's this cube that's supposed to keep them in their prison, and Spider-Man takes it, and then Doctor Strange chases after him. And in the unfinished VFX, that's what it was. Like, he's running away and Doctor Strange is chasing after him. And he's like, they're fighting in the mirror dimension. Mm-hmm. Remember from the first one?
Right.
Because you saw like shit like moving.
Yeah.
All weird. It's not finished CGI, but that's supposed to be them in the mirror dimension. As like shit's shifting and stuff. Because he took the box that's going to release them or whatever. Anyway, they get released. And yeah, and I think like the main villain is William Dafoe's Green Goblin. And you at the end of the trailer, you see, it took me a couple of times to see it, but you do see it. His pumpkin bombs from the first film, it rolled into frame and then blew up. And then a very clear shot of Alfred Molina as the Doc Ock, moving into frame, like, and what did he say? Like, hello, Peter, or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think there was a shot of Jamie Foxx too, but it wasn't very clear. I couldn't be able to tell you. But yeah, that is that's it. That's the movie. Oh, and then I think by the third act, they do pull in Toby and what's his name?
Garfield.
Because the third act is going to be those three Spider-Men versus the Sinister Six. And then someone close to this Peter Parker will end up dying at the end.
Okay. Do you know who that is, or are you just holding that information?
Apparently, multiple scenes have been shot with multiple characters.
Gotcha.
It's one of those.
Okay, so any more leaks? That's basically it.
That was basically the trailer, and that's basically the whole film.
Okay. So the multiverse doesn't break open; they just take certain players out of their realm.
Basically.
Okay. So this doesn't address at all the multiverse actually breaking open, as like the end of Loki would suggest, or the Multiverse of Madness movie is going to end up doing.
Well, technically, the multiverse now exists because of Loki, but it didn't technically, like, the timelines aren't crashing into one another at the end of Loki, right? They're just starting to exist again.
Uh-huh.
So I guess you can say because of Loki, there existed these alternate timelines to be able to pull the villains in. But I guarantee you it won't be referenced at all in the film. I'm thinking Kevin Feige, Fum. What kind of name is that? Is that German?
Feige? I don't know.
Okay. I am guessing that he is correct in saying that you probably don't have to see the Disney Plus shows to understand what is going on in the films. I actually don't think the multiverse, like, I honestly think it, like, cracking and a bunch of multiversal stuff happening, I assume it starts in Far From Home and then gets
No Way Home.
No Way Home. It starts in No Way Home and then gets out of control in Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I assume those kind of lead into one another.
Okay. So that's the movie.
Basically, it's the bare bones structure, but yeah.
Okay. So, your thoughts?
I I hate it. I shouldn't. I kind of feel like holding back. But no, let's be honest, and hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised when I see the film. But I actually do hate it. I really do.
Thanks, I hate it.
I do. From a business standpoint, and even from a fan point, from a fan's perspective, I get it, right? The idea of pulling in, doing the multiverse Spider-Man and seeing all your favorite villains again, I get it, right? Totally, 100%. I'd be lying if I didn't, the 7-year-old in me or 6-year-old who, when I first saw the teaser for Spider-Man 2, flipped my shit. Wasn't, a little like, oh my god, it's Dr. Octopus. I'd be lying if I didn't feel a little bit of that when I saw it, even in a grainy, shitty, leaked trailer with unfinished CGI. I got that little tinge. So for people that aren't as of an asshole as me, that are up for all this shit, it probably sends them through the roof, right? But for me, I kind of just feel like I've given up on this version of Spider-Man. It's not that it's bad. It's just that there's nothing that makes this Spider-Man itself, that gives it its own identity and its own sense of world and growth and stuff like that. Like, it's a sinister. He's never gonna have his own Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin or any of these characters. It's all just gonna be pulled from other better films and stories. Well, maybe not with the Amazing Spider-Man films, but it still won't be his villains. He's gonna lose that ability to have his own world because we need to hit the nostalgia points with these other villains that you already know of. And like this whole idea of having to deal with the fact that the world knows he's Spider-Man, maybe he deals with that throughout the film. I haven't seen it, so I genuinely don't know. I really only know the bare bones, some good details, but it really is still the bare bones of the film. But it kind of feels like that shit's gonna be sort of wrapped up and forgotten in the first act.
That's the impression I'm getting.
To like we set this up at the end of the last film, but we just need to hurry up and get through with it so we can do this multiverse stuff, right? Because to me, the idea of like the world knows who Peter Parker is, that's a whole ass movie in of itself. to really get into the nitty-gritty of this character and his relationships and his relationship to the city. Because Spider-Man in the city, that was always like a big thing, and like there's none of that here, and there's just so much awesome character stuff you can do with this idea of everyone knows I'm Spider-Man. Oh fuck, especially for a kid, and it feels like that entire plot is just going to be ran through very, very quickly in the first act in order to get to the fan service.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, with each film in this franchise, I've just kind of gotten less and less hopeful that I'm gonna give a shit. It's not even like these films are bad. Homecoming, I thought, was really good. I thought it was a really solid first Spider-Man film into this universe. Far From Home was also solid. I had fun. I enjoyed it. But it was okay. It wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't. It's just missing so much of the stuff that I find interesting about the character. And I've talked about this before, right? Like at the end of the first film, they drop the bomb that, like, oh my god, Aunt May figured out that he's Spider-Man. And it's like, holy shit, like, how is that going to affect their relationship in the next film? It doesn't. It doesn't affect anything. And it's like, they dropped the bomb that what's her name is MJ at the end of the first film. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait to see them grow and eventually fall in love. No, we don't see that. The next film, he just randomly is massively in love for MJ for some reason. We never saw any of that develop. He just went from not giving any shits about her to obsessively in love with her.
Out of nowhere.
Out of fucking nowhere. And we never got to see their relationship or love develop. I know a lot of people are into them as like a couple, but I only think they're into them as a couple because it's because of who the actors and actresses, and they're into shipping and shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's just kind of disappointing to me. I'm not crazy about it. I'm really, really not. This, like I'll put it, going back to like the Aunt May thing. One of the big ones I saw was that Aunt May would die at the end of this film. I don't know if that's true. Like I said, I think they shot multiple ones. I would in no way say for a fact that Aunt May dies at the end of the film. If anything, I think the only two I could see them actually doing are like MJ or Aunt May that they would see. But like if Aunt May dies, I don't know if I would care. They don't really have a relationship.
She's hardly in the movies.
She's just there.
She's just there
to be a joke because she's hot. They had like one kind of sweet scene between them,
right,
in the first film, Homecoming, when she like helps him get ready for the dance. But for the most part, like you get to the second one and she's cool that he's Spider-Man, and she's just there. She's there. I don't know her as a character. I don't know anything about her. She's literally just there. So if like she were to die at the end of this next movie,
why would I care?
I don't know if I would care. And I think MJ dying would be sad, but I also don't really believe that much in their relationship. It just kind of came out of nowhere.
I would just be surprised it had the balls to kill off Zendaya. Yeah,
that's why I'm kind of leaning towards maybe Aunt May. Also, that's never happened before in the films. So I can see them going like, well, let's do something different. The person that's close to him that dies is Aunt May. Or they could be like, MJ dies, and then his next girlfriend is Gwen Stacy. Do a switcheroo of how it happens in the comics. I could also see them doing something like that. But yeah, again, this is one of those things where I know everyone's gonna lose their mind and truly love this, and I'm gonna watch it and I'll probably be like, it was pretty okay. It was a good film, but just kind of be sad because I don't want it to be an okay film. I want it to be a great film. But I haven't gotten that yet with any of these Spider-Man films. I've gotten well-executed, okay Spider-Man films. But like from the direction is fine. There's nothing interesting about the way it's shot. There's nothing interesting about the action. And again, like when I talk about like there's no opportunity for this Spider-Man to just be his own character, the first two Spider-Man films are just heavily, heavily, heavily shadowed by Iron Man and his influence on him. And it seems like this third one is just going to replace him with Doctor Strange.
Basically.
And then may probably replace Doctor Strange with the two other Spider-Men. And I don't know.
I share with you in that disappointment. This is not at all what I had in mind when I walked out of Homecoming all those years ago and thought to myself, man, imagine all the great stories we'll see to see this this Peter Parker grow into his own with his own stories and his own villains. And that's not happening.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
His own to be able to stand on his own 2 feet. And it's just clear at this point they're never going to let him do that.
Are there going to be more with Tom Holland?
I would.
That's the question on everybody's mind, right? Like, what's next for Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland after this?
See, this is the thing. Sony is never gonna let Tom Holland go. At least I don't think so. So Marvel can't kill him off or get rid of him because Sony will just go like, "Well, fuck you. We're still gonna make Spider-Man films." And they'll have what's his name under contract, and he'll continue to make Spider-Man films. And he just continues to make Spider-Man films that are not in the MCU, but maybe kinda, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting what they do next because I assume they need to renegotiate, right, with Sony.
Uh-huh.
I think there will be more.
So you feel like there will be a Spider-Man 4 with this Tom Holland, at least?
I think there'll be a 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And at some point I can see them trying to introduce
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales, yeah. See, what I would do is kill him off at the end of this film and introduce Miles Morales. But I don't think they would do that. I think you could potentially see another trilogy on top of this this trilogy of home films. The real question is Spider-Man, the 4th MCU Spider-Man film, going to have home in the title? That's the real question.
Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home.
Mm-hmm. Too Close to Home. That could be the 4th one. Maybe Kraven the Hunter is trying to kill his family. It's too close to home. I shake your head all you want. I could see it. What's another home title? Yeah, that's all I had. I don't know. Ugh. But yeah, I'm not not crazy about it. I know everyone else in the world will be, though. They are going to lose their goddamn minds.
It's going to be an interesting month for you, isn't it? So all that's going to be happening at the same time as the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my god. Oh man, I'm going to be on suicide watch. I should just turn off my phone that whole month.
Wow. That was a lot to process, but honestly, nothing in that was kind of surprising. I kind of already thought the movie was going to go down like that. I guess it's just the particulars that had to be hashed out.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware they were actually going to kill somebody off. That would be pretty interesting, but every time they do something interesting, it's followed up with nothing.
Yeah, with just kind of either just lightly touching on it, never fully exploring it, or just ignoring it completely.
Yeah.
They never fully explore the interesting aspects they introduce into these films. I'm talking specifically about the Spider-Man ones of the MCU. And it's gonna feel weird because I'm so used to Sam Raimi's directing when looking at like
Those
the
characters.
Green Goblin, because part of what made and Doc Ock, well, part of what made them so alive is the direction of Sam Raimi.
Right.
And I forgot the name of the director for the Spider-Man films, but it's honestly very weak visually.
Right.
It's very by the numbers, very boring in my eyes. So it'll be kind of weird seeing those characters in sort of a stale environment. Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you this, I'll be pissed if instead of trying to give them new cool one-liners, they just repeat the old one-liners from those from those old movies. And I'm specifically thinking about Green Goblin. Yeah. Did you want to talk about Free Guy next, or did you want to talk about some other MCU stuff?
No, that was all our MCU stuff. There was just some details that I'm trying to like. Yeah, there are some things I'm not quite satisfied with. Anyway, let's move off this and let's get on to Free Guy.
Okay. Let me pull up the Free Guy Letterboxd official summary. Free Guy, directed by Sean Levy. Life's too short to be a background character. A bank teller called Guy realizes he's a background character in an open-world video game called Free City that will soon go offline. Directed by Sean Levy, cast Ryan Reynolds, Jodie Comer, Lil Ray Howery, Joe Keery, Taika Waititi, Utkarsh Ambudkar, and yeah, Free Guy.
I really wish we would have done this review before we went through all that.
Oh, are you in your depressive state now?
No, I'm not, well, maybe I am. I just don't. I don't know how you follow that, though, because I'm like, man, that kind of, yeah. Although it may not be with what people think. So, this is a movie.
That's true.
And we saw it.
We did see it.
And now we're here talking about it.
See, I need to be careful to put you in these depressive states, because then you shut down.
So, let me tell you this. The movie experience was honestly something I hadn't quite felt like in a very long time. To say that I was pleasantly surprised with the film would be a severe understatement. There there is something special about watching an original film like this just knock it out of the park like it did and be as good as it was, and also sadly now rare, because it reminded me of experiences that I just don't have anymore these days. A lot of the movies we go see at the theater aren't original. They're based off already existing properties of some sort. And this was just, it was the first time in a long time, like, I felt I was watching something new. I fucking loved it. I was just swept away by it completely. I don't know if, like, Ryan Reynolds has, like, this Midas touch with, like, films that he happens to star and then also, like, heavily produce. But it's just continuously a winner for me. I feel like there isn't anything necessarily original about the story, perhaps, you know, from a narrative standpoint, but it is an original property. And it plays with concepts and themes that a lot of films in the last couple of years have attempted to do, a lot of big movies that just fumbled their way out of it, that it never got anywhere close to this level of quality, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. It was directed really nice. The writing was so on par. The humor did not miss a beat. Yeah, I was actually just continuously stunned with how good it was. And I hate the fact that I don't sound more happy saying it, but them's the breaks of doing the show immediately after the Spider-Man stuff, so I apologize about that. I'm trying to collect myself as much as I can here. But regardless of whether or not my tone sounds the way, I was exhilarated. And walking out of the theater was a feeling I hadn't felt like in quite some time. So, it's not the best movie I've seen all year, but I think it's easily one of my favorites, just for the pure sense of joy. And also, it's not just humor. It's not just a comedy, right? But in a way, it's also it is a romantic comedy too. A romantic comedy in disguise. And there is a romance here. And like we said with Jungle Cruise, this is something we need more of, and something we hardly get these days. And that, I think, made the film and the experience all the more special. Mm-hmm. That's my thoughts.
Okay. I forgot to mention this about Spider-Man Far From Home.
You mean No Way Home?
Sure. Some way home. I think this might be the third act. Green Goblin steals an arc reactor, and for some reason he has it at the Statue of Liberty, which the Statue of Liberty now is holding a massive Captain America shield that was added to the Statue of Liberty. I assume following Endgame. That's it. I thought you would appreciate the giant Captain America shield. Free Guy. Free Guy is the movie Ready Player One should have been.
You asshole, you did it again. You stole my damn line. Bitch stole my line. No,
you went first. What are you talking about?
This is exactly what no, but it's I think the sentiment is true. Mm-hmm. Which is like, this is everything Ready Player One wished it could be and was trying to be, but failed miserably.
Yeah. Because also, this film also kind of tries to have a point and say something.
Yeah. Instead of like, every fan knows what a hater looks like.
God, every fanboy knows a hater. Holy shit. I need that on a t-shirt. But what's it called? Like, those kinds of films, there's been a few films that are like, oh, it takes place in a video game. Da, 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 da. This is the first one that actually feels like it tried to fully realize, not perfectly, obviously. I think it's impossible to realize it perfectly, but I felt like, okay, yeah, this is a video game, right?
Yeah.
It felt like a perfect, and it wasn't, there was some pop cultural references and stuff like that, but it didn't try to be that the most of the time. And it just tried to sort of satirize a certain type of video game. Like, it felt like a mix-up of Grand Theft Auto and the one the kids love these days, Fortnite. It felt like a perfect amalgamation of those two, right?
Uh-huh.
And you see it, right? Like, you're running through the city, and you're just shooting and killing things, and you airdrop, and the way it's like online players go here to meet, it's the different missions. It's like, okay, so someone actually played a video game at least once before making this movie. Like it feel, in the past, whenever people have tried to be like, this is actually a video game, and it's like, this is not in any way a video game. This actually, it's like, oh, like, they understand certain aspects of video games, like and they'll even have it like in the background. I remember one time when Guy was like on the phone, or no, he was not on the phone, he was at the bank, and there was like a playable character behind him, like jumping against the wall, and then he got stuck in the wall, which is shit that happens in video games all the time. He like clipped into the wall, and I'm like, okay, like, the people that made this gave a shit. That's a great, that off the bat, that's really, I like that. I like that when they made it, they gave a shit. Beyond that, this feels like similar to what The Rock does, but it's Ryan Reynolds, where he's like, I am gonna be me, right? But I'm gonna create a property that's perfect for my stardom. And maybe I'm just into Ryan Reynolds more than The Rock, but I think it really works here, right?
It works for them, yeah. He
crafts a perfect film around him that fits perfectly with his personality and humor. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the romance, again, it's not the greatest romance in the world, but it's actually a romance movie. It's a bit of a rom-com. There's actually not a lot of action at all in this film.
Right.
I'd say it's more romantic comedy with elements of action.
Right.
Which
and
is
I wasn't expecting that.
No, I think that's cool. It's some of the humor I left a lot at. Others a bit hit and miss, and I feel weird saying this, but like Taika Waititi was a little bit miss for me in this film.
Some of them were, yeah. Some of the things that he said were really miss. Yeah. I can't help but feel maybe at some point that was intended because of how off-putting his character is designed to be.
Yeah.
And so maybe they didn't want too many of those to land. I will say, though, it was interesting to see him as a antagonist.
Yeah, he's the villain guy.
Uh-huh.
Some of the humor really worked, but other times it felt like it was coming in a little too strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, this director, Sean Levy, he has made movies where on their surface, I'm like, that movie's gonna suck. But then I watch it and I'm like, not only does it not suck, it's kind of good.
Yeah.
You know, it's not amazing, but it's kind of good. And just to name like the movies he's made, he did the Night at the Museum movies.
Right.
Which, again, on their surface, it's like, oh, fuck that shitty, family film. But you watch it and like, it's kind of good. there's some cool, fun shit in those films. I got a soft spot for them. Real Steel, that boxing robot movie.
Uh-huh.
I think I saw that in the theaters. I was like, this is kind of cool. Again, nothing amazing, but it's like, this shouldn't have worked, but then it did. He did Big Fat Liar. Do you remember Big Fat Liar?
With Frankie Muniz and Paul Giamatti and Amanda Bynes?
Oh, I think you remember, yes. Cheaper by the Dozen, Date Night with
Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Did you say Steve Carell? Steve Carell. Oh my god.
Again, making fun of my accent. You're a racist, disgusting piece of shit. But no, it was I ended up really enjoying it. I think it's a cute film. It's obviously meant to be a crowd pleaser, but you can tell when it came to crafting the world and the characters, they really gave a shit, and they really went for it. And yes, there is some funny and fun cameos and references that they do, especially at the end, that I know the crowd, I'm sure, goes crazy for if you see it with the crowd, which you should. And yeah, those were great. And there was a lot of funny shit. No, yeah, it is one of those original movies where it's like, you just don't see these much nowadays. And I'm happy I saw it. Similar to Jungle Cruise. It's like, I don't know if this is the greatest film ever, but I just don't see these nowadays.
No.
And I'm just really happy to be seeing these.
Yeah.
Especially in the theater. So, yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of sucked into it. And in a way I wasn't expecting it to. It was just like, immediately I'm just charmed by Ryan Reynolds. And he really charmed it up with this role. But it's a great ensemble as well. I initially was... and you're gonna have to help me out since you have the cast list in front of me. I was a little worried when we switched back to the real world for a moment there, and we found what are our two main actors? The
Which
guy
ones?
and the girl.
Jodie Comer, who plays Millie Rusk, and Joe Keery, who plays Walter Keys.
Yes, initially when we transfer over to them, I felt kind of the energy dip a little, and I was a little afraid, oh no, this isn't nearly as engaging as where we were. I wonder how that's going to affect the overall movie. And I was glad that ultimately it didn't end up weighing it down. It ended up kind of complementing each other as the story went on. But initially I was like, wait, why are we here? What's all this happening? But both of them were actually quite good in the film as well. It's a really good cast. It's one of these movies where you actually feel you like the ensemble. Again, it's not the best in the world, but I don't know. I feel like I was just kind of swept up in the moments that the film was trying to create, especially with the really, I don't know if weird is the right way of saying it, but the or maybe weird is not the right word, but the unexpected romance that kind of blossoms between Guy and Jodie Comer's avatar.
Weird is a good way to put it.
Especially since I connected, like I felt it. Weirdly enough, it's like, what?
Well, this is another thing where I'm like, oh, okay, they tried. It wasn't until I started to watch the movie, I was going to be like, wait, are they going to explain why a random NPC gained sentience?
Yes.
Or and then they did. Right? And then they added details to the romance that made it make sense. It's still weird, but it's like, okay,
yes,
this makes sense. And I'm thankful for that, because I can totally see another film and filmmakers that just don't give a shit. They'll just be like, just keep moving, just go with it, don't question it. But I'm like, no, like it's I like that. That's why it worked for, even though it was weird, but that was part of what made it funny.
It did, didn't it? Not just funny though, but also just kind of sweet. Like I kind of bought into that as well. Like, because it did ultimately come from a real place, because there were really spoilers, another character's feelings being filtered through Guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the time that comes to a head at the end, it's like, okay, this feels like it's paying off. Like it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
And I liked it, yeah.
Didn't it feel like the audience, our audience, is really engaged with the film?
Oh, they were into it. This feels... It doesn't surprise me that this was kind of a surprise hit. I know that was a weird sentence there. But it feels very tailor-made for audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's from the humor to the star power to the sort of video game aesthetic going on. I get why this hit with people. And it is, and yeah, and the romance shit too. People like romance, okay? Back in the 90s, half of the films were fucking romance films.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, 9/11, I don't know.
Jesus, man, that got dark.
Right?
Like, too dark.
I don't like it either. Jeez.
I think the show just went off the rails. I don't know what to say at this point.
My point being, I enjoyed the film. I really, really did. I could see myself watching. This feels like one of those movies where I can just throw on at any time and just vibe with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great use of Fantasy, the Mariah Carey song.
Oh yeah, and even that it worked its way into the story too.
Yeah, even that worked really much so. Where you had in the climax of the film, you had Jodie Comer actually do a cover of the song.
She did it?
Yeah, it was her. I thought it was like some kind of like cover toward the climax of it. No, it was actually Jodie Comer herself that recorded a version for the movie.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. And there were moments that really had our audience just kind of like really like laughing really hard. Since it's okay if we say spoilers, right?
Yeah, spoilers.
So like the whole so when the shield thing happened, right? I was like, is that what I think it is? Because like first they don't show you the front of it, right? They show you the side, and I'm like, huh. That almost looks exactly like... And
but
then,
you can hear the music.
No, but before the music kicks in.
Oh.
Before they kick in the music, it's a shot of the side of the shield. Like they show him with the shield, but I just thought like... At first you think it's a shield, and then like the shot kind of lingers, again, before the music kicks in. And I'm like, wait a minute, does that looks a lot like... I've seen this before. And then it cuts to it being the actual Captain America shield with the fucking like Avengers music queuing in, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" Wait. And then it kind of all of that in and of itself, just like one of the most random things you'll see. And then it cuts to a shot of Chris Evans watching the gameplay and saying like, "What the shit?" And then like the audience just completely losing their shit, literally, when that happened.
It's funny, I read an interview about this, and I guess what's his name? Ryan Reynolds. I guess towards the end of making the film, it suddenly occurred to him like, wait, we're owned by Disney now. Like, I can do this shit. And then he immediately, like, throws that into the film. And then, you know, of course, I'm sure he's got Chris Evans on speed dial, and he came by and did, like... It was literally... I think he literally said it was, like, 7 minutes tops. He just came in, shot it, left. And... it's history.
Yeah, it wasn't just a shield, so he also used lightsaber. And so he also had the John Williams score, and it's like this, and I thought, like, this had to have been obviously after the whole merger and everything, because I believe this movie was being made while the merger was happening, and so while it all came together, I was like, wow. And already this was like better than Ready Player One, but for it to use Star Wars and Marvel where Ready Player One couldn't,
yeah,
I mean, just an extra bit of like cred right there on your ledger.
But with the way they did it was more fun too.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the references in Ready Player One were just so like, well, there's that thing, there's that thing, there's that thing. Like they never hit. Here they hit, and they hit in a really fun way. Yeah, the lightsaber shit was fun. And there's a couple of other items he used that were more video game items. Like the after the lightsaber, he hits him with like this, I don't know if it's a unicorn head or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of the items from Fortnite. And then the Porter gun is of course from Portal. And yeah, he used a few other like famous. I thought he was gonna pull out a fucking Master Sword at some point, but that never happened. I like a dumb movie.
So do I. Thank you all for listening. Catch us back next time. Stay under the spotlight. Bye.